Ladies and gentlemen, this could be big for the Baltimore Ravens. Let's talk a little bit about Rueben Bain Jr., edge rusher out of the University of Miami, a guy who is expected to go very, very high in the upcoming 2026 NFL Draft. This is a guy that I have really been in love with the prospect of for a very, very long time. Very, very fun to watch. This past year at Miami, had a dominant run in the college football playoff. When you look at the scouting report, lots of pros, some cons as well. Power, that's his biggest one. I mean, this dude wins with strength time after time after time. His motor's very, very impressive. One of his cons, I would say, is his arm length, right? And a little bit more on that in a second. And the con also his pursuit speed. Doesn't get up to high levels of speed, has a little bit of trouble closing gaps when he's pursuing quarterbacks. Well, let's talk about that first con for a second, arm length, because that is the only thing that we've been hearing discussed about Rueben Bain Jr. over the past 24 hours because he got measured yesterday at the Combine. Came in at 6'2", 263 pounds, his wingspan 77 4/8 inches, but his arm length, 30 7/8 inches, ladies and gentlemen. When compared to edge rushers, that is incredibly short. And they talked about that for the entirety of his last year at Miami. Hey, look, this guy has really short arms. This is something to watch out for. And then he measures in, and that is the shortest arm length of a guy since 2019. The third shortest since 1999. That's right. There have only been two other edge rushers in the last 27 years that have measured with shorter arms than Rueben Bain Jr. And I will be honest with you, arm length, when you play edge rusher in the National Football League, it matters. That's why people are freaking out about it. I, for one, am not people. Because personally, when it comes to Rueben Bain, I could not care less. His arms could have measured in at 15 inches, and I still would have taken a shot on this prospect because his tape speaks for itself. The way that this dude plays the game speaks for itself. Like, all you got to do is watch 10 seconds of this guy play football, and I'm sold, okay? I don't need to see anything else. I told you, the motor is one of the things that jumps off the page the most. He is resistant when rushing the passer in run defense. He logged 83 pressures this last year and 9.5 sacks, 15.5 tackles for loss. And even when he's not like racking it up in the statistic department, like even if he's not the one that ends up tackling the quarterback, tackling the running back, he is making some kind of an impact on the play each and every down. Okay? So then, why could this be so big? Why are we having this conversation? Well, because he measured in with that arm length, that might scare some teams from picking him inside the top 10, which could cause him to slide to the middle of the first. It seems like we see this happen each and every year in the NFL draft. There is a player that comes in as a very highly touted prospect, has a really good final year of college, and then gets to the combine, gets measured a certain way, runs a certain level of 40 time, and then his stock plummets. We saw it happen with Kyle Hamilton. Now, he got dropped because of positional value. That's not going to happen with Rueben Bain Jr., but there has only been one edge rusher that has had shorter arms than 32 inches that's logged double-digit sacks in the NFL in the last 20 years. That might scare some teams, ladies and gentlemen. But he's still a guy that produces. If you look at the top production scores from edge rushers in the last 5 years, he is right there in the top 5. Behind Will Anderson Jr., David Bailey, who's in this class, Abdul Carter, who went second overall last year, Rueben Bain, and then Aiden Hutchinson back in 2022. If Rueben Bain Jr. somehow falls to 14, there is zero hesitation if I am Eric DeCosta. I am not thinking twice before turning that guy's name in as the 14th overall pick and going to Baltimore. Because I look at that dude and I see a Baltimore Raven. Because guess who else had pretty short arms? Terrell Suggs. Guess what? Did not matter for him. Do you want Bain to fall to 14? I need you to help me out. Make this happen. Hit that thumbs up button. Like today's video. It is up to you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, do not jinx it. Maybe if we get enough likes, he'll fall all the way down to number 14 so the Ravens can snag it. I don't think Minter would hesitate either. Like, it's not just me, okay? If Rueben Bain's there for the Baltimore Ravens, Minter is drafting him because he took some time on Tuesday to talk just about how much the offensive line and the defensive line impacts football in the National Football League.
Yeah, I think, it's an O-line, D-line driven league. When you look at the last few, just look at the Super Bowl winners of the last couple years. I think that's really where you start, is like, how have these teams won that final game? And 2 years ago, it was the Eagles, like O-line, D-line driven. This year, Seattle, same deal. So I think that's an area that you're always looking to get better. I think there are some good pieces there. And so it'd be about coaching them up, developing them more, and then adding some pieces to help us get to that level.
Now, frankly, I could not agree more with Jesse Minter. That's why I've talked about a lot the Baltimore Ravens hitting either offensive line or defensive line with their first pick in the draft. I think naturally the pass rush does improve under Minter. Like, I think you could just run it back with a lot of the same cats you had last year, and you would have better numbers. I don't want them to do that. I want them to add at that position. I want them to add on the defensive line. But I think just in adding Jesse Minter, your unit's going to get a lot better. It's going to get a lot more productive. And Odafe Oweh is the perfect case study for exactly that. Because he was with the Ravens for 5 games, didn't log a single sack, and then played 12 with the Chargers, and he had almost 8 sacks in the regular season. And then he went to the playoffs, got 3 sacks and a forced fumble, set a franchise record for the Los Angeles Chargers, and with 3 sacks and a forced fumble, right? So naturally, Jesse Minter is going to help this room be better. But you do have to have guys in the room. And right now, you don't have many at all. In fact, you have Mike Green, you have Adisa Isaac, and you have Tavius Robinson. Those are your only guys signed to this roster for 2026. And it's not lost on Jesse Minter how important it is to be a good pass rusher or to have a good pass rush defensively in the NFL.
Yeah, pass rush is, there's a lot of factors, I would say, that go into rushing the passer well. Sometimes it's playing with the lead. Sometimes it's blitzing more. So I think there's a lot of variety of ways to affect the pass rush. I feel like we have some guys that can do that, some young ascending players in that regard that can help us there. And then I think it's always a position that you're looking, for more. And so I know Eric and the guys will do a great job attacking free agency in the draft, building a team that in September that we feel has the ability to rush the passer.
Honestly, I might just start doing my part in this and pushing anti-Bain propaganda on Twitter. I think I'm going to take his highlights from Miami and go ahead and throw them into ChatGPT. Just use AI to have them just incredibly alter the highlights to make his arms look like a T-Rex, okay? I'm going to do everything I can to make sure Rueben Bain falls to 14 to the Baltimore Ravens. Make a wish for me. Who is your dream first-round target for Baltimore at 14? Okay, let me know down below in the comment section who it is. Real quick, a word from our sponsor. My wife, Kennedy, and I got married almost 2 years ago. I imagine we'll buy a house and start having kids maybe sometime soon. If something were to happen to me, the last thing I want the people I love to worry about is being able to pay the bills. So I trust Ethos to keep them protected. After watching someone close to me go through loss, I saw how quickly grief can turn into financial stress. That experience changed how I think about protecting my family. Life insurance isn't about expecting the worst, but it's about making sure the people you love are supported no matter what. That's why I recommend life insurance through Ethos. You can get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. Ethos is 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 3,000 reviews. Help protect your family with life insurance through Ethos. Get your instant free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times and rates may vary. We're going to round out today's show with some confirmed formal meetings with the Baltimore Ravens. Reminder, these are formal. There was also an informal meeting with Penn State safety Zakee Wheatley. However, we're talking about the formal ones, starting with Caleb Banks, defensive tackle from Florida. This was a guy who yesterday just absolutely blew up the NFL scouting combine just because of his measurables and what he brought to the table. 6'6", 330 pound, projected to go somewhere in the middle of the second round. But after his day yesterday, I would not be surprised at all if he shoots up people's draft boards and becomes a first round pick. Like, I'm just calling a spade a spade. 6 foot, right? We talked about it, 6'6", I should say, 327 pounds. His arm or his hands, 10 inches, 7/8, 35-inch arms, 85 and 3/4 inches wingspan. This dude is absolutely massive. Now, the production's not there, okay? 3 games played for Florida this last year due to injury, 6 tackles, a tackle for loss. Career grades are fine, career stats, I should say. 2024 had a really good year, 21 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. He's green, okay? Let's just call a spade a spade. This is a guy who would be a gamble, but because of what he's done so far this week at the Combine, there might be some teams out there that are willing to take that gamble, especially if you already have a pretty veteran interior defensive line and then could just kind of count on coaching and those guys to help Caleb Banks grow into the player that could be a dominant one in the NFL. Eli Raridan, tight end out of Notre Dame, is another guy you had a formal meeting with. He is projected to go somewhere in the 4th round of the 2026 NFL Draft, which kind of seems like a pretty solid sweet spot to be drafting a tight end at. 32 catches, 482 yards this last year for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You need tight end. And I frankly believe you are going to go draft a tight end because Isaiah Likely is going to be gone. I don't know if Charlie Kolar will or not, but what we do know about a Ben Johnson type offense, which is also a Declan Doyle type offense, is they like to use tight ends as fullbacks. Okay, so you're going to need some more on this roster. He can help you in the passing game. Really good blocker as well. Almost 500 yards on 32 catches this last year. 15.1 yards a catch. Those are great numbers for a tight end. Okay, so Eli Raridan would not be surprised if Baltimore's really, really interested. And I would not be surprised if by early on Saturday, 4th or 5th round, the Baltimore Ravens have drafted a tight end. What round do you think the Ravens need to draft a tight end? Let me know down below in the comment section. I think they need to do it by the 5th, but let me know what you think. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Twitter, Instagram, I'm on social media. Make sure you go ahead and give me a follow, and make sure you subscribe. Daily videos on your Baltimore Ravens right here.